Then we also have a stepper drive, which is a CMMT ST. Okay, but for ST, if you see, we don't have a lot of models. There's only one model for stepper, and this the spec you can look at it yourself. But basically, the stepper model is they have an 8 amp current, then it can support nominal input voltage of 24 to 48 volt DC. Okay, so as you see here, this is a big servo motor. Okay, this is a big servo motor. This is a stepper motor. Okay, so their power supply are different. And when we say here 24 volt to 48 volt, it means that the stepper motor will need it will need a 24 volt electronic supply to power up the driver. Then it will need load supply. Load supply is to supply to the motor. The supply to the motor can be 24 volt or 48 volt. Okay. So same for CMMT-S. For servo drive, you will have a lot more model here. As you can see, there is different kind of current, C2 up to C25. So this is a nominal current that the servo drive can supply. Okay, and then there is different kind of input voltage. Same like stepper, it will still need a 24 volt to power up the electronics in the driver. But this nominal input that mentioned here is for the motor supply, or we call the load supply. So 3A is for 230 volt, and 11A is 400 volt. So 3A is single volt and single phase, and then 11A is three phase. And all our drive are multi-protocol. So multi-protocol means that as we earlier mentioned, it supported this few interface, either Intercat, Profinet, Ethernet IP, or mobile TCP. So this interface can be configured through the deep switch, or like it can be configured in our FNS. Okay. Okay. The specifications I won't go through, but maybe I will share on something on the installation. Okay. Basically okay, so we start from the installation. Okay, this start is not important. Okay. So maybe I should see from here. Okay, so as you see, this is our CMMT-S. You can see there is a lot of port, a lot of connection that you need to do. Okay, so first thing first. Okay, let's just look at the actual one since we have connected. Okay, maybe you guys can come here and. Okay, so we have a lot of port here. So first one is the parameterization port, which is X18. X18 is the port that if let's say you want to control, you want to parameterize the CMMT, right, then you connect to X18. Okay, then over here X10 is the port that we can do hardware synchronization, or it can also act as a encoder input. So X10 and X10, X3, and then X2, all these can be actually for encoder, yeah, for different kind of encoder. So like for example, normally for the motor encoder, we will connect to X2, okay? Then X3 is if let's say you have any additional third-party encoder, or not just third-party, like maybe there's a linear encoder with your axis, then you can connect to the X3. It could be also like encoder from somewhere else, yeah, you can connect with your X3. And then X10 is normally when we use for the hardware synchronization. So for our CMMT, we could do a hardware synchronization between both our CMMT. Yeah, but we won't be touching it today. Today is more to the basic of the CMMT. Okay, then we have connections here. Let me off the power first. Up here, this port is this connect. Okay, sorry. There's also a field bus port.
up here, X19 field bus port is for the field bus connection. So your EtherCAT, your Profinet or whatever, you need to connect to the field bus port. So in order for the field bus to communicate. Then you have this connection here is an X9A. X9A is your power supply. Both the sensor supply, the PS. So that means you need to provide 24 volt to the drive, as well as the load supply. So the single phase or three phase. So if you see like three phase here, it will be connecting to three phase, okay? And single phase, we are connecting single phase, but there's also a 24 volt DC to power up the sensors. Okay, for three phase drive, it's separated. Okay, so same thing like the stepper here. Stepper would have a lot lesser communication port. So stepper will have the field bus port just like our servo, but the difference is that there's only a parameterization port. Okay, there's no port for the encoder. Encoder input is actually from S2. S2 is the encoder input. Okay, so then you have S6 here. This is for the motor cable. This one A slash is a motor cable. Okay, same for the servo drive. You have it's X6A as well. This is for the motor cable. So three phase UVW. Okay. Then you have additional before that the supply for the stepper. Okay, so you could sometimes it could cause some confusion here. So you see there's a 48 and 24 volt. Okay, what it actually means is that 24 volt is a sensor supply and 48 volt is a load supply. So in this case, actually, even if let's say your customer is using a 24 volt, you don't have 48 volt, it's okay, but you still need to connect the 24 volt to the 48. To the label of 48 volt here, because this is a load supply. If you don't connect, right, you will get like load voltage, under voltage, or some error like this. Okay, then we have some digital I/O for stepper, as you can see here, X1A. This one we will go into details later on. I'll show it from side. Same for the CMT AS. We also have I think it's X1A also, but there is a lot more compared to the stepper. Okay, let us go back to the slide. So the other port, actually we managed to find it. Like you see, there's they mentioned here X9 is 11411. But the other port is quite straightforward. So I will go into details in terms of the X1A port I/O interface. So we'll start with the okay. So in fact, there is a lot of different kind of I/O here, but let me just maybe go through some important one that we must use. Okay, so this one, it doesn't matter. Like okay, so for example, STO. Okay, up here, STO, and SBC. So STO and SBC is a safety function. So, but we won't touch on to this now, because later on, I think end of your trip you will have a advanced safety training. So we can discuss further. They will be able to train us about that later on. But this safety function is that if let's say that means you must provide 24 volt to this 4 port STO, STO-A, STO-B, SBC-A, and SBC-B, in order for you to use the CMMT properly. Because if when you don't have a pulse voltage 24 volt voltage supply to them, right, you will get a safety function requested. Okay, then there is also a control enable power stage. So this one will depend on the configuration of our FAS. When you have control enable, you need to provide 24 volt to control enable for you to enable the motor power stage to activate it so that the motor has torque. Okay. Richard, if you are not clear what I'm saying, just ask, okay? Yeah, because I'm not sure like how familiar you are with the servo drive. Okay, so if let's say, okay, for example, your customer case right now,
if let's say they have configured it to be like they need to have control enable and then they did not supply a control enable, then most likely they will face the error just now. Because the error that is showing is that task ignored because control enable is not there, right? Yeah, so if let's say they have configured it and then they try to enable it, then this could be the reason that they do not have a 24-volt supply to the control enable.
But if they switch in the configuration to Fieldbus, then no.
Yes, if they switch the configuration, then it's okay. But because we do not know what's the configuration they are using, also we do not know if they have connected this or not. Okay, so yeah, then also like the other input, like there's a analog input here. If let's say you want to use analog to control, you need to connect the analog input here. Then you can also error acknowledge from digital input. There is a error acknowledge here. Then beside X1A, I think there is also yeah, there's also X1C. Okay, so X1C is normally we use it for the limit sensors and reference switch. So because for our drive, right, like okay, we will show here. We go to the knowledge board. Ideal situation for actuator, right? It's like this. We will have two. These two are called the limit sensor. So limit sensor is there to protect it so that your actuator will not move over than this position. So when this limit sensor is on, then your drive will be error and then you cannot enable it or whatever. So when you want to enable it, you probably will have some error. Same with this. This is normally it's like we have one negative sensors and one positive and one negative. It could be like this one is positive also, but yeah, bear in mind we have two limit sensors. So and then we have one reference switch. Reference switch is for use of homing, right? So so that it knows that where is a zero position, but. Homing sometimes is not necessary because even without homing, you can actually use the limit sensors to do as a homing. Yeah. So the homing mode, there's actually a lot of homing mode that our CMMT can support. Maybe tomorrow I'll share more on this. Okay. Or maybe later I can show also. Let's see if we have enough time. But more importantly, like this limit sensor will be connecting to a different port. I forgot which one. But for stepper, then it will be all connected to X1A.
Yeah.
Okay, clear? All right.